Venezianico recently opened up the pre-order phase for their latest and quite fantastic GMT version of the Nereide, and I kid you not, it's one of the most beautiful looking, affordable GMTs I've ever seen. But then they released these. These are the limited edition versions of the said Nereide GMT, and I'm completely blown away by what I saw. Watch and see for yourself. This video is brought to you by Venezianico. With the Seiko 5 Sports leading the charge for affordable mechanical GMTs, other smaller companies are scrambling to jump in on the wave. Venezianico is out with their own version, and this Saudi Arabia limited edition just takes it a notch further. When I unboxed this timepiece, I was immediately impressed with its compact dimensions. It measures at 39mm in diameter, just 45 from lug to lug, 12mm thick, and is water resistant up to 200 meters. It houses the Seiko NH34A GMT caliber that has a 41-hour power reserve with a hacking seconds feature. Here's the bezel action. Very pleasing to the ears with virtually no backplay. Operating this threaded crown is pretty straightforward. The last step helps set the hours and minutes hands, with its first step allocated for the date and GMT functions. This collar or office GMT has a 24-hour hand that's set independent from the other hands of the watch. It's set using a clockwise motion, while the date function is set counterclockwise. Once you're done, you can seal all the goodness in with this threaded crown. But arguably, the signature of Venezianico watches is the Carnova bracelet. There's such a class and refinement to this bracelet that's hard to find from non-homage watches. The beautiful polished center links decorate this seamless bracelet design that complements its gorgeous taper. It sorta carries the spirit of the Nautilus, but the shapes and profile is very different. This model sports a 20mm version of this bracelet, which lends well to strap changing. It's painful, in fact, to switch away from this amazing feature, but let's show you how it looks like on other straps. On this green NATO strap, it dresses down the Nereide, preparing it for a more rugged occasion. I feel it doesn't match well with its elegant polished facets, but it's decent enough to wear. Let's now pull out this strap in favor of a more sporty looking band like this perforated strap. With this light-toned material, the silvery bezel and mirror finish is given more attention while keeping its overall personality. It's also a bonus that this loop tucks away the excess strap for a much cleaner look. No strap showcase is complete without the channel staple Artem sailcloth strap. This transforms the Nereide into a heavy-duty tool watch with a royal impression on the wrist. The amazing texture and white stitching harmonizes well with this dial inlays and its indexes. But all that pales in comparison with the Carnova bracelet, really making me question the choice of swapping bands in the first place. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of this watch, but how would it stack up against other comparable tool watches? Let's begin with a watch with a similar movement, the Seiko 5 Sports GMT. The Nereide gets my vote here with its more compact and elegant design. There's a certain finesse to the Nereide style that the Seiko 5 lacks. Notice too that this Seiko GMT visibly is larger than Venezianico's Nereide. Both can coexist in the same collection. You can even wear both on each wrist. So now you can track 6 time zones for no reason at all. Beside its bigger brother, the Nereide Tungsteno, you can see the similarities in profile that certainly keeps both in the same family line. Despite its similar look, the GMT is almost as thick as the Tungsteno. This is because of that extra hand that raised the case height. The Tungsteno also has a certain beef to it because of that thicker bezel. And finally, against my 1140-60, the size is identical in measurements, but visually, the Nereide looks petite and dainty. The narrow bezel makes the dial larger while the case around it is slender. This makes the overall impression smaller. Aside from finding a reason to bust out the sub, the Nereide shows that it can be an adequate substitute to all your tool watch cravings while looking dapper on your wrist. It's time to examine the details of this unique watch under some magnification. The first thing to highlight is this interesting bezel that has a chromed out lower portion. Venezianico used BK7 optical glass as its bezel insert. This is a very pure universal optical glass that's commonly used to produce high-quality optics, mainly for the visible spectrum. This means that light is free to reflect through the glass and bounce off the chrome surface underneath with tremendous clarity. This is not possible with other ceramics and sapphire crystals. And, if you haven't noticed yet, the whole bezel is adorned by Arabic characters that really connects this watch to its revered culture. On the bracelet, the taper really slims down the shape to your eyes and then captures it nicely with this Venezianico cross. I cannot show enough love for this butterfly clasp as it seamlessly blends with the rest of the links. Another thing to appreciate is a well thought out case bag that can double as your cheat sheet for CDs and time zones. The sides of the case is properly brushed, while the bezel edge has a multifaceted sculpture. This bezel is rather high, again because of the forehand setup of that dial. On the crown side, the Venezianico cross is featured prominently that rounds out the external features. This leaves us with the amazing dial. The combination of geometry and sunburst finish creates a radiant facade that transports us to its Middle Eastern roots. The rich chamfered inlays form Arabic stars and petal patterns throughout this dial. The contrast never suffers despite its seeming intricate design. This is mainly because of the indexes are applied with adequate height and all of the text are done in white. There is such a dimensionality to this dial that it helps us appreciate how challenging it might have been to create all of these crisp inlaid patterns. It really beautifully represents the Arabic arts as it pays tribute to the 90th anniversary of Saudi Arabia. And yes, it glows well too, even under Arabian Nights. The Nereide GMT is one stunning watch that's a product of genuine love for arts and design. However, while many brands rely heavily on software to develop their timepieces, Venezianico uses rapid prototyping to create parts that can be observed and tested in real-life settings. This lets them see the smallest areas that can be improved and refined. It's a guiding virtue that actually extends beyond the watch. The same care is applied in the packaging, their environmental initiative, and customer relations. This is what I love about this watch brand. Nereide's founder and team actually took the time to address all of my questions, share design processes, and just talk about watches in general. It's a personal touch that you remember every time you pick up one of their timepieces. An enthusiasm for their craft that I and anyone in their fan base can experience personally. And that's how many of their watches are produced, guided by design principles and influenced by fans like us. If you couldn't tell, Venezianico is my new favorite affordable watch brand and it shows no signs of slowing down. But don't take my word for it, you can try it out for yourself. It's really that affordable. Their current lineup are emblems of refinement that are very rare to see at any price range, so they pack a lot of value for your buck. No wonder this Nereide GMT Saudi Arabia version is already sold out. Kinda makes you ask why I even made this video, but I wanted to show you why the Nereide GMT are really fantastic watches with elegant design and so much value in every facet of this watch. So don't miss out on the rest of the Nereide GMTs from Venezianico. Do I sound like a commercial? Many people are commenting that I sound like a promotional commercial for these brands.